Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the current and future state of the video game industry in Africa. First, let me start off by just introducing myself. My name is Sidick Bakayoko. I'm the founder and CEO of Paradise Game, and Paradise Game is a company that was created with the idea of transforming the video game industry in Africa. Our mandate is to entertain, educate, and empower young Africans. And the mission that we've set to ourselves is to engage and influence about 200 million Africans through video games, through esports, and through education technology. What can I start with? I think it's important, to set the stage by just trying to explain just a little bit what the video game industry looks like today, and then I'll go into the details of where we are currently and what is the future for it. I think when we talk about the video game industry, we need to identify a few building blocks. You have the conception phase, and the conception is all the ideation and all the thought process that goes behind what the game is going to look like, how is it going to run, what's going to make it a fun game, etc. The second part is actually the production of the game. And when we talk about production, that's when you're going to have the actual designs of the game. That's when you're going to have the 3D modeling and the animation. That's also where you're going to have the video game development. So, the coding that goes behind the game and that will make, characters move left or right when you press a button. And the other things after the game has been produced is the distribution. And right now, you can consider that there's two main distribution. You have the physical distribution that involves having shops in certain neighborhoods and having, big places who sell it, or even online shopping, and people receive the game physically in at their house. And you also have the second aspect, which is the online distribution. And the online distribution, which is currently the mode that's trying to take over, in a sense, is where you go online, you punch in your credit card, and then you get a game. You're able to download the game directly on your console, on your mobile phone, or on your PC. And I think beyond that, I think it's important to understand as well that the video game industry has evolved a lot since, and now you have some new areas or new venues that we can talk about. One is esports. The other one is the new media. Esports is the competitive gaming. So basically, you have two people or more who are competing against each other to be able to win a prize of $2 million or more, or even less. And then you also have the new media. So basically, it's streaming all the video game content and people actually talking about it. So now let's get into the topic. When we talk about the current state, where are we today in terms of gaming in Africa? One, the size. I think today, based on the last numbers we had, there's about 500 million people who are playing video games on a regular basis in Africa, and that's split onto different platforms. The majority of them are mobile consumers, so people who play games on their phone. And when we talk about video gaming, we're not just talking about the 15 to 21 guys who are sitting in their room with their headset and playing all day. Somebody who's playing Candy Crush, somebody who is playing just cards on his phone is actually playing video games, because the concept of video games is the fact that you are playing on an electronic device. The other things, the second, I'll say, platform that's very used in terms of video game is our consoles. When we say consoles, we talk about PlayStation, we talk about Xbox, we talk about Nintendo, and those are more family-oriented platforms that have been used a lot everywhere in the world. And today we're seeing the same trend in Africa. A lot of people are now acquiring it. They're a little bit more expensive than the phones, so we're looking at maybe 20% or 20 or 30% or so of the market that's using consoles. And then there's a very small minority that's using PCs. But computers are quite expensive for somebody who wants to play gaming at a competitive level, or who want to enjoy it, has to invest 15 or $2,000. So that's why you have less people who are on it. And in terms of where we are in terms of some of the evolution that we've seen in video games in Africa, we're seeing more and more companies creating studios. So before, we used to have a market in Africa where there was a lot of consumers for video games, but now we see people who are moving behind the curtains. They're actually now trying to develop their own game. we've identified about 300 studios, but when I say studios, some have 20, 30 people, some have just one or two persons. Um, and all these people are now trying to develop their game. Most of them are developing for mobile because it's easier, it's more accessible, it's faster to deploy, it's faster to launch, and a lot of people are just it's just easier for everyone. Now in terms of what's kind of like driving the whole market and what's actually working today. We've seen a lot of things around esports that have evolved a lot. On our side, for example, we built an event that's called Feja since 2017, and the idea was really how can we bring together things that there was a great evolution, and there's a lot of other and new events that have popped out. And the good thing about esports is that it attracts a lot of traffic, it builds up the online audience, and it also helps vehicle the fact that video game is fun, video game is an experience, and a lot of people now are looking at it. And in terms of other things that are helping and pushing the market, I can definitely see connectivity improving. When you look at mobile, before we used to be on 3G, now we moved to 4G. In a couple of years, hopefully we'll move to 5G, and that's quickly reducing the gap that we have between Africa and some of the other markets. In terms of having access to devices as well, when we talk about mobile gaming, we need to have smartphones, meaning phones that can connect to the internet and that have enough, I would say, um, specification, or that have what they need inside to be able to run a game that has advanced graphics and things like that. And we've seen over the past 5 years or so, or even a little bit 5 years, we've seen a lot of Chinese phones that have been introduced in the market, and those phones are cheaper. Some of them are less than $100, or between 100 and 150, which are which is quite affordable, and which is and those phones are coming up with very good specifications, and they allow for good gaming. On a mobile. I think some of the other things that are coming up as well, and some of the drivers, you can include the distribution. The fact that now we move from a physical distribution towards online distribution makes a lot of sense, and is definitely going to help, because on physical distribution, you need to have to be able to negotiate the deal with those big companies, and then those games need to be taken in France or in China or in Japan, moved towards a location in Africa, and then sold into shops. And right now, there was not a lot of big, I'll say, muscles or big companies who were able to do that. There were a lot of small individual players who were actually, buying 10 games here, 20 games here, putting them in their luggage and coming here. So I would say, it had stopped or slowed down the process of making video games available everywhere. And I think having access to it online means that once the internet connectivity is fast enough, people can just actually go online, download it, and then have access to the latest games at the same time as everyone. In terms of what the future looks like, I think I was talking earlier about the local studios. I think we're gonna have more and more of these. You're gonna have stronger local studios coming in. They're coming in with the local content. They understand the market, they understand the consumers, and they're able to offer things that people like more than, for example, a game that comes from abroad. Two, I think it's important to talk about, I'll say, video game as a new sport, because esport is definitely the fastest growing, segments, within the video game ecosystem industry. And the fact is, esports is trying to replace sports. The difference is, when you talk about sports, you talk about soccer, you talk about all these other traditional sports, and when you talk about electronic sports, you talk about the fact that people are looking at video games and people playing on video games, and that's definitely transforming. We've seen that in some competition there were more people in those in some of those competitions than people who were actually watching the finals of the NBA. And then the second thing we can talk about is content creation. You're going to see a lot more people now playing games and streaming it online so that people can watch it and see it. And I think all around it, I think there's a whole economy. To close out on the topic, I think there's a whole economy that's now being developed, and we definitely have a window that's open to us, and we hope that we can continue and definitely capture that market. I mean, for me, that's pretty much in a nutshell what we have. I was really happy to be here with you guys today, And I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for us to discuss the topic. Thanks again. I wish you guys a great day, and I hope you have fun with all the other topics and panels that you're gonna have today. Take care. Cheers.